Gang, welcome back to Fast Charging with B&B. I am Brian.
I'm Bear.
He thinks he's Bear, but he's never sure. And by the way, we should have done, I got an idea for a poll next week. We should ask in the poll which B is first, because I'm reasonably confident it's me.
Yeah, you really shouldn't be confident. We're going alphabetical, and BA comes before.
B-A.
I had some feedback there.
How do you spell
Okay.
Bear? B-E is Bear.
BA
B-E
and
is
BR
Bear.
if you're going to
There's-
alphabetize
It'd be
them.
alphabetical either way, but,
Yep, that's how it is.
All
The
right.
alphabet wins. Alphabet wins.
If anyone can let us know how we sound in the chitty, that would be wonderful.
You sound very good, Brian.
Thank
But
you.
you're not talking to me, are you?
Thank you. Yes, for we have not yet spoken today.
No.
No.
We've been preparing this for, I think, like 7 hours of prep time.
Well, part-time, yeah. I started last night.
Well, it feels like 7 hours when you're talking to Brian and he's blowing his nose. So.
Yeah. I'm a Canadian goose that way.
I
Was
felt
there?
that.
I feel like there might have been. Was there some big news this week? Any big news?
What? No, I didn't hear anything. I actually didn't even get up until this morning. I slept through Monday. But I heard this morning that there was something about quarter 2 or quarter 4 delivery numbers for Tesla.
Yeah, they was big. 305,000 produced for the quarter, delivered 308. Use the numbers interchangeably because eventually they'll all balance out, ideally. Unless you're the 2019 Ford Fiesta, which was still being sold in 2020 and 21 because they couldn't sell them. But
Yeah.
eventually it got back to parity. That's a big number. Their
Yeah, that
analysts
is
say... Go ahead.
I was going to say, that is a fantastic number. It beat expectations, including yours.
Including mine.
though I was closer by one, as we
course.
talked about earlier.
And
So
yeah,
they've got a big year headed up for them.
Absolutely.
Big year.
absolutely. I was having a chat with a guy who was saying, well, yeah, they've grown 50% year over year, but this is Ford's year because you can't grow 50% forever. And I said, well, right, but to get to 50% for next year, they only need to hit 1.2 million or 1.4 million to grow 50%. And their current run rate, to get over this 930,000, and their current run rate is 1.2. So with minimal new efficiencies or any expansions in Shanghai or Fremont, they're going to hit that. And rumor has it there's a factory or two that's been under construction that should be opening soon.
Where's that? I didn't hear about that.
I think
either.
there's one in
Is it in Coolidge, Arizona?
East Germany,
Oh.
and not West Texas. So I guess
Not
East
like
Texas and East Germany.
Yeah, yes, that is correct. You could say Southeast Texas.
Yeah.
Down by Austin, the state capital. So
Yeah.
those two facilities are going to have not quite the production that we're seeing at a Fremont and Shanghai, but they're going to have a lot of production coming
Right.
in that they did not have.
And that's just for
Probably
22.
100 to 120,000 cars if they get it right by the end of the year.
I think that's
Is
very realistic,
thought.
if even a bit low. And then that means they'll be ramping into 2023, which should be another 50% year without any unforeseen capacity expansion, which we expect. I think that's enough on that. What do you think?
Okay.
Because
Great,
if you
great.
guys are here, you probably already know all this stuff. It's it's cool, but let's look at the other guys.
Hey, you mean like Stellantis?
Oh, Stellantis. So this is neat. At Schneur Greenberg posted this. Year-over-year delivery growth for 2021, Stellantis down 40%. Wow. And you can't blame it on the chip shortage because look at your competitors down 5%, 10%.
Yeah,
That's...
it's kind of inconceivable that these things are happening like this, especially with a company like Stellantis. I don't know if folding up Chrysler and Ram into them was the best thing. And remember, Stellantis was the one that said that they're not going to be able to make EVs because there's just not enough money for them to do it. So they've got to figure something out.
If they hadn't given billions and billions of dollars to Tesla in ZEV credits, maybe they'd have enough to make the transition.
Yeah,
But
that was a good waste of money.
but if you
That
look,
is like-
so yeah, looking through here, even Ford's down, Daimler's down, Honda's down, Toyota's up. That's
Barely.
that. Well, yes, but that proves to me that it's not just the parts shortage, and that you can grow in a down year. And then I'm not sure what this
I
bar
agree
is.
with that.
But
I completely agree with that. If you've got a company that's down, what is Stellantis, down 40%, and other companies are down less, they're blaming the chip shortage, but then you've got another company that's up 80-90%, there's got to be something that you're doing wrong.
yeah.
Why is one company going to be able to surpass everyone else?
Well, one of the doubts is, well, yes, but they're so small. Growing like that is easy, right? But they surpassed Subaru in production. They produced more than Volvo this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
Volvo could have grown.
There's,
Volvo
there's
could have
definitely
grown.
more to it than that. It's not just the size, because
Right.
the guys that are bigger should be able to get these chips easier. But
Right.
Tesla's got people working for them that can either get the parts that they need by putting in whatever deals that they need to, or their software engineers are going to change what they need to use chips that, from what they did. Change the chip, change the software. Let's
Yeah.
move on and let's keep producing cars.
And it's not
Where
just the chips; it's all the parts.
Yeah, yeah, it is more than it is a whole lot more than chips. I had a new vehicle delivered to me in November, and it was actually that some of them were actually delivered yesterday, and some of them was electronic stuff. A wiring harness was missing, but it wasn't necessary for the car, and that is still on order, and that's been almost 2 months. So you see it everywhere with every type of product.
The Jack in the Box near me. No, not the Jack in the Box. Who is it? One of the fast food places currently doesn't have a breakfast menu. It's not Jack in the Box. Who is it? Jack in the Box is out of tacos because the warehouse just doesn't have any. But one of the fast food places is currently just not offering breakfast because the warehouse does not have the whatever. And I'm guessing it's like the spice that we need to make the sausage is stuck on a ship. It's very strange.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
That's some good news with production, and we've got other companies that we're waiting to hear production numbers, and I wish these other companies would put out their numbers. The newer companies like Nikola, Lucid, Rivian, because I would love to just see them throw down and say, hey, this is our production deliveries. We'll get to our earnings later, but this is where we're at. So we're still waiting on that from Nikola, though I have a feeling we're going to see 2 trucks delivered. I would have liked to have seen more, but I think that they're going to be ramping up soon. I know that they've got a lot of frames out there at the Nikola site in Coolidge. We counted 24. So as far as just-in-time inventory, that means that they feel like they're going to go through those pretty quick. And it's going to be a great way to keep an eye on production from our point of view. Lucid, both Lucid and Nikola were closed yesterday. I guess they did their holiday yesterday, so they're not doing production. But I'm really anxious to see Lucid's numbers. Just don't know whether they're going to announce it in Tesla style and just put them out there, or if they're going to wait till the earnings call. So I think they're going to probably wait till the earnings call, because they probably want to say what it is and then be able to put in their forecast in the future at the same time.
Sure.
Instead of having 2 different days where the stocks either get hammered or go up. So
Well, I'm looking at the chat here, and JKM and JJE are both saying that, they're here for Nikola chat. Do we want to do that real quick? Because I've got a couple thoughts. On both Nikola and Lucid, I think there's too much focus on what was the Q4 delivery. I don't think it matters. The fact is there were Q4 deliveries. That's the part.
Yes.
That's the part that everyone should be focusing in on and saying, look, they're building stuff and it's shipping. The fact that you were saying on your channel, Lucid wants to gather a truckload to batch ship them so they're not spending $25,000 shipping each car. That makes sense. That's what they got to do. So if there's a little backlog, that's normal. If there's a little delay in the financing, that's normal. If we're sweating about 10 units or even 100 units in a year's time, when you're looking at 5,000, 10,000, in 10 years' time, who cares if it was the end of December or the beginning of January? That's all I got to say.
You said it. And I agree with you because you're agreeing with me. So how could I disagree?
I think that's all we had for this week. Is that it?
Bye-bye.
By the way, I did get some later comments last week about my comments on the shape of the solar roofs at Giga Nevada, and especially the color. So that was a little spicy.
Yeah?
All
I
right.
missed that.
So it's all good news, right, for Tesla?
Well, well, no, it's not.
No?
That's a segue if I've ever heard one.
That's a segue if I've ever ridden one off a cliff. Oh, wait, isn't that how the guy died?
My link went away. Oh, there we go. That is a nice looking Model 3. And then it just disappeared on me again. Right. Is your link working?
Mine's working.
Okay.
At any rate.
Now mine's working. Yeah, that one. You want me to take this one?
Sure. You own more Teslas than me.
Yeah, that one's going to look like my third one, except the rims are a little bit different. Got a white on white ordered with that black trim on it. It's going to look sharp, but we did the upgraded rims. But so my new one will not have a recall because they're going to fix this problem. There's a recall on the Model 3s and on the Model 3s have issue with wiring harness is potentially able to rub against something else in the trunk and cause the rear camera not to work. And apparently that's a big deal. I'm not sure why, because the cars have rear view mirrors, so you can use those too. But, I guess it's good for not running over kids and stuff like that, because I believe the sensors are tied into those cameras with the vision. So there is 356,309 Model 3s. That is every car from 2017 to 2020. So if you had one of those cars, you would get this letter in the email, that email thing, and it will be telling you that your car, with my VIN number, is on there. Yeah, I don't care. You guys got my VIN number. Do whatever you want with it. It doesn't matter. So anyway, this is a description of the problem, and you guys can pause the video later and you can read it if you want. But yes, I got one of those, and so did 356,308 other people. So what do you think? Recall it. Big news, huh?
Big news.
Or well, is that something that happens a lot?
It happens a lot. Hyundai recalling 26,179 Ioniqs for unintended acceleration. See, that's an actual recall. That's something.
Yeah, that is real.
That is real. Now it could be, yeah. As the thing is, recalls are common. We just looked up on Google News to see. New version is that recalls are common. They happen all the time for all the different companies. The list of recalls is kind of endless because any little thing can go wrong, and every little thing can need fixing. So that's why I think, didn't really move the stock much.
Yeah, I think a little bit of wire chafing for a camera is a lot less critical than unintended acceleration.
Yeah,
that is like in the top 5 things that you don't want. You don't want fire, braking, unintended acceleration, auto eject, and something else.
Right. And so, you just described the Chevy Bolt there too.
Yes. That fit right in there. I want to thank JJ for a super chat. He said 0 deliveries to 2 deliveries is infinite growth. That is something my calculator cannot figure out because it's got a 0 in it. So yes, that is infinite growth. It's going to have to be at the top of that growth chart we put out there. But yes, now we want to see 2 go to maybe 100 in the order, and that would still be more growth than any other company. They're still in that position. True?
Yeah. And that is saying it's infinite growth is silly. The difference is he's joking, and the people who are saying only 2 deliveries or only the people who are saying that Lucid is having a bad quarter because cars didn't get from the lot to the consumer's hands is also silly. So
yeah, I have no doubt that they're going to reach their production goals. The delivery goals, we've talked about it before. It's just there's things out of your control, and I know better planning might help, but at the same time, they're going to get sold. So
absolutely,
they'll just show up with the next quarter's numbers.
Absolutely. So yeah, JJ, thank you, of course, for the super chat. It's all welcome and appreciated. So, should we talk? Why don't we look at the comments real quick?
Yeah, Paul had a funny one. Maybe Nitsa is worried that everyone took their mirrors off and the camera is the only way to back up. I could see Nitsa getting a little concerned about that. The guy who's in charge of mirrors is probably very nervous about his job.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Paul also said, "Whoa, now that's a chart." I'm turning my heat on. I can't help it. In reference to the everyone being down, apart from a little bit of Toyota and Tesla. Yeah. And Digital Blade Canada. Rumor spreading round in that Texas town. Yeah, there is a rumor that there's going to be a big announcement this week. I wonder what it could be.
Besides production, I mean, that's not like, it's a big announcement, but it's not much of a surprise. But if it's like a big surprise announcement, it would be 4680 batteries. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
If it's a surprise announcement. Because I totally wouldn't be surprised if they started rolling cars out of there this week.
Jason Rogers says, don't buy a Combustra 9000. Yeah, but they're so hot, man. I can't help it. And it's fun that there's a lot of people that have said, well, I'm not going to buy a Tesla because the Hyundai Ioniq is so much cheaper. It's a little bit cheaper. It's a tiny bit cheaper.
Yeah. But I'm not sure I'd put that on my list or not of cars that I would get if there wasn't a Tesla. It lacks a little bit of excitement, but it is what it is. Mr. C want to know, do you know when Lucid were earnings? Do not know. And Licorice or Licorice Licious, or I'm done with that name. Sorry. What if the parked Lucid cars aren't finished? Then they wouldn't be pulling them out and delivering them.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be the case. They're already wrapped for transit. When other companies like Tesla have unfinished cars parked, in their case in the Fremont test track, they don't they don't put the the protective coating on. So I think and they keep moving. So I think that's there. Jason Rogers says, I bet the surprise is that Mary led.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Keep the heater on. We can barely hear it and we don't need you freezing. Okay, Paul. I shall do that. Thank you, because I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if you can see my breath, but I'm back down to about 47 in here. I don't mind the cold, but there are limits. My fingers get a little chilly.
I'm sitting at like 80 degrees right now, and I'm ready to take off my shirt.
You got down to about 40 the other night, didn't you?
No, we had a couple freezing nights. Happens a couple times a year where the puddles will freeze a little bit, and we'll have frost on our windows, and nobody knows what to do because there's not a single person within 100 miles that has an ice scraper. So.
By the way, do you know what keeps your... I didn't know this, but apparently your cameras all have heaters on the Tesla.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Oh.
So what happens? So the front ones, it's got an element there that'll thaw it. The side pillars have access to the air in the cabin, so that as soon as you turn on the heat, they warm up too. All of the cameras are heated.
The side ones on the fenders have some sort of heater?
I guess there was a picture of it the other day.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't do much for wiping the lens off, but I mean, what can you do? I'm sure somebody. Oh, laser wipers for the mirrors. That's
Right.
what you need. That would take care of that.
Paul says we should come up to Canada sometime. Brr.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was in Canada, in Vancouver, a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was cold. I was improperly dressed because I don't have any winter wear. I'm still wearing shorts as we speak right now. So I can't go to Canada unless somebody's going to donate me a pair of tall-sized pants that don't have flowers on them.
All right,
Please.
so let's move on there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rivian delays the bigger battery pack for its electric pickup all the way to 2023. Why do you think they would do that, Bear?
Because they don't have any batteries.
Yeah.
And I hope that's the reason, because if the reason is they have batteries but they don't know how to configure this, that would be a bigger problem.
I would be very surprised by that. I think the problem is the batteries are just the batteries are just in short supply. You want a lot of batteries. And the large pack, which gets 314 miles of range. Oh no. Oh, this is the max pack, expected to get 400. It's also possible that they haven't figured out how to actually get 400 out of it, and they can't release it.
That would be like that would be what I said about not knowing how to do it.
Oh yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so that just made me think of something. The weight of a Rivian R1T is like 7,100 pounds. Is that the large size?
I don't think it is. I think that's
so the max. The max has to be even more than that.
Yeah, pushing 8,000.
This truck is going to end up on my 600-pound life.
Yeah.
But the car version. So, because they've already topped off most cars, that if there was a car channel for overweight cars called the My 6,000-pound car, they get the sisters on there together, and they need to lose some weight. Because imagine if they lost some weight, what they could get on range. So
yeah.
Wow.
That's the problem. So I think we can move on.
Yeah. I want to answer a real quick question.
Sure.
Do I think Lucid will hit the $75 mark by the end of this year? I don't know if it'll be at it at the end of the year, but I'm feeling it's going to touch onto it at some point during this year. So
JKM said the Rivian is the ugliest cartoony truck he's ever seen. It's a matter of taste. It does have style, at least. A lot of cars, we've
admit it, Brian. Admit it.
What?
You like it.
I do like it. I think I don't know if it's for me, but I can absolutely respect it. I can appreciate it. There's a lot of cars that go the other direction and try and be as bland as possible, and I think that's not helpful. I think that's...
Hey, the Hyundai Ioniq that you just showed, that car was bland. And I do agree with you. Rivian has something that makes it stand out. It looks different. Do I personally like it? I'm kind of milquetoast on it. I kind of do, I kind of don't, but when I've seen the pictures of them compared to other cars, I realize that it might be too small for me because I'm a big fatty in height. But
yeah,
Brian told me earlier that it's starting to really grow on him.
The Rivian is absolutely growing on me.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, it is a smaller pickup, and my problem with it is not so much its style; it's that it loses some of the functionality, being a smaller pickup. So
JJE had a question in your super chat. Y'all think the
Yes.
Model 2, which by the way Elon said he's not going to call it, I call it the Model Q, is going to release in 2022. Currently, Teslas are too expensive for the everyman. Seeing Jaden Smith in Brian's video doesn't help. LOL. I don't think that's Jaden Smith. That's somebody else. But absolutely not. There will not be a release of a new model that is as yet unannounced this year. We might see an unveiling, but it definitely will not hit the market. Bear?
I 100% agree with that. I don't think that they have a place to make it, except for maybe China. What Elon has said about it, about the model whatever, I'm going to call it the Model B, because I think they're going to go with the sexy, and then they're going to start with a B for some other word. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but I think it's going to be the Model B.
Sexy Brian.
And be a female dog. But if they... Okay, so Elon Musk was saying that if they make this car, should they not have a steering wheel? In order for that to happen, FSD has to be 100% complete. And whether or not that happens this year is very iffy. It's been promised every year for the last several years. So I wouldn't rely on that to happen, especially if it's not going to have a steering wheel.
And I just...
So I don't think it's...
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I don't
happen.
think that... sorry, I'm doing it again. I don't think there's enough batteries. There's just not enough batteries to roll out a low-cost vehicle yet.
Did you see all the 4680 equipment being brought into Texas?
Yes. Yes, and that's not new equipment. That's redundant equipment. That's additional modules in addition to the ones that have already been put in. That means the first line is probably running, and they're expanding it.
Yeah, and those were confirmed to be 4680 battery production units, and that's why I think they're going to be real close to, if there's a big surprise coming up, it's going to be that these new cars are going to be 4680. If they can, and that might be the reason why they didn't start production in October, like I was personally promised by someone in Texas that worked for Tesla. If that's a good reason to delay it, because to go from, the 2170s to the 4680s means you're actually having to change your and what you're actually producing a lot, costs money, costs time, and why ramp up with the old batteries when you can ramp up with the new batteries?
Right.
So we're seeing all that equipment go in there. All they need is the materials to put into it, and outproduces batteries, and there's no longer a battery supply problem because you are making the batteries right there. Just move them from that room to that room where the cars are being produced.
Sure.
So I'm going to start spreading that rumor. I think that 4680s are going to be in the first model coming out. What do you think?
Absolutely
think
agree.
Possible?
Absolutely agree. They've also been stockpiling them from the Cato Road facility, which has
Yes.
and to put that in perspective, that little building at Cato Road, I imagine you must have seen some of the drone footage, is rated at 10 megawatt hours of production per year, which is like 1/3 of Giga Nevada. And the ones in Texas and Berlin are supposed to be about 100 gigawatt hours, which would be about 2 to 3 times the production of Nevada for a vastly smaller building. And
you want a bland truck? Look at the canoe truck. Oh, well, we're going to mention that in a little bit.
yeah. Should we move on?
Yeah, I just want to go through a couple comments. The Rivian is small, and I can see rust holes forming in thin sheet metal. Is that not made of?
I don't know.
I thought it was, and maybe it isn't. Maybe it's made out of the heaviest steel imaginable, and that's why it weighs 7 pounds. And JJ says Model DOGE.
Doge.
Well,
I
go
think
with E.
the reason it's so heavy is because it's made out of Mary lead.
Mary lead. That was almost like a dad joke.
Yeah, it is because we don't want to get demonetized. I believe the Cybertruck's supposed to be under 6,000 pounds. Yeah, we don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, PhotoGib. This is one that's been coming up lately. I'd really like to see 48-volt architecture in the Cyber, B, and Semi. Are they going to bite the bullet eventually? Yeah. So if they change the voltage to the 48, you can reduce the gauge and just the sheer quantity of copper that goes into the vehicle. But it requires a first principles redesign in that everything has to be able to run on 48 instead of 12, which is why no one's done it yet, even though it's a very good idea.
Very well. Wait,
Disturbed did say they're building
with 21.
Yeah, go ahead. They're building the 2170s, at least in Q1 and 2, out of Fremont for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't believe, I don't know if Teslarati has some unique insight that, if they do, it's as of today, because I follow it and I haven't seen anything about that. Okay, I think we should move on.
Absolutely. And we are going. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. I think I've been on the wrong one. How do you like that? All right. Were we stuck on Rivian that whole?
Yeah, here's why EV
Wow.
charging stations might not be as convenient as gas stations anytime soon. Go for it.
Okay. Well, this article just goes through this, saying that the Alliance for Automotive Innovation had this roadmap that they put out. It needs to be addressed in order to get more charging stations. Uh, doesn't really mention the Build Back Better plan, which is okay. Uh, it's talking about just where they are, that a lot of these places don't accept credit cards, that you have to use an app. I don't really see that as a problem. I don't know why they even list it. They're talking about having EV stations in 24 hours, but then you have gas stations that aren't open 24 hours. You've got gas stations that keep the gas pumps going. And every supercharger station that I've ever been to, there's been nobody there. I don't need an attendant to do this. So, it sounds like more excuses. I think the only thing that needs to happen to get stations is for people to invest the money. And the people that should invest the money are the car manufacturers in order to do this and get this spread out. Electrify America is going to should be financing themselves. It's their business, it's their model. And I think that companies like Electrify America and maybe even Tesla should get in with these gas stations and maybe start getting chargers installed at gas stations also. And maybe the time's not right because of how long it takes to charge, because that's obviously a big difference. You can't pull into a gas station or what would be an electric station and be out of there in less than 25 minutes. You can get gas in 5 minutes and then be on your merry way. There was also talk about having the need for pull-through charging stations for people that are towing, and I am a big proponent of that. That the way that these are all set up doesn't really work. They should be like a gas station. You can pull up to them and then pull out of them, because people with trailers are never going to be purchasing EVs until this is changed, and it's going to be something that's really going to hold back all of the companies that, like Ford, sells so many of their trucks that tow, and Cybertruck, if you can't really tow with it for a distance because you don't want to have to go and disconnect a 6,000 pound trailer every single time. We gotta find solutions to that. I think that's one of the bigger hindrances on these chargers right now. They're just not set up properly. What do you
JJ
think?
said hydrogen stations, though, and the problem is, in terms of adoption today, the hydrogen stations don't yet exist. And so, once those are common and plentiful, that's a discussion we can have. But there are almost no passenger vehicles, and it's looking like hydrogen in terms of passenger vehicles may not be facing a very bright future, while commercial applications may still have some room to consider it.
Yeah, and I'll bet every penny I have that every hydrogen station that is planned or under construction right now is going to be a drive-through, because it's going to be for semi trucks, and semi trucks are not going to be pulling into a parking lot.
Unhook, back
Yeah,
in every 2 hours.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. On my side here, we got John Amora. Any updated? No update. We'll have one tomorrow. We will be doing a regular flyover video tomorrow, and we will also be doing a live stream of Lucid, so you can come for the chat for that. Robin Perkins, any idea when MCS, the megawatt charging system, is going to drop? Was meant to be in end of 2021. Well, if it hasn't, if there's any reason for it, which we haven't heard, it's going to go back to the same thing always: batteries. batteries, batteries, batteries. And another comment: what is really the reason 4680s are taking so long to make at production scale? Maybe it's producing the equipment that produces the batteries, and scaling that up to a level that they need it to be. Because just being able to do it is not always enough. You got to be able to do it to make all the cars or all the Model Ys that they're going to produce. And
a lot of the things that Tesla has done are things that have been considered before, and pass. It's going to be a pass. The idea of a mega casting is not new. It's just difficult. So why bother? We're only going to make 100,000 of this particular car and we're going to move on. Tesla says, no, we want to make infinity of this car before moving on. The cost is worth it. The time savings is worth it. And the same with the folding origami on the Cybertruck shell. That's not a new idea. That's been considered since the 70s. But the companies just said, no, we're just not going to do it. So the 4680 is a difficult battery to make, and Tesla believes that they have the ability to do so at scale profitably, and it will just work.
You know what? I think I misread Robin Perkins' question regarding the megawatt charging system.
Okay.
I think I was responding to that as if it was a storage system.
Okay.
And he was asking about a megawatt charging system. So I think I misread that, and I apologize to you, Robin. But I could not answer that question on the megawatt charging system. If it's not out yet, that is also probably due to the fact that they haven't mastered that technology yet. That has nothing to do with batteries per se, but just charging faster. And if we could ever get to a level of megawatt charging instead of the 350, which is the most common, fastest charging system right now, that would be great. But I've heard that the problems with charging that fast is heat. So, one good idea Ford had for Lightning was a weight bed. Rivian or Cybertruck have this? I don't know, but that would.
I haven't heard about anyone trying to do that, so my guess would be, at least from the beginning, no. And it sounds like the sort of thing they could patent. So maybe.
I think there's a lot of people that would not want.
You're cutting out a little bit on me, by the way. Is he cutting out for anyone else?
Are your ears going in and out, or is it just my voice?
It might be. It might be.
Might be. Having a scale in your bed could be problematic to some commercial people because there are weight limits. And if they got pulled over and an officer wanted to see what their vehicle says it has for weight in the back, as opposed to putting it up on scales, which there are groups of enforcement agencies that run around with scales and weigh your truck on the side of the road and fine you if you're over, you may not want to know what's in the back of your bed. Just saying.
By the way, the word in the chat is that the sound is good. It must just be me. It must be my faulty ears.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Photo Gibbs says Bear is going mute. Anyway, why don't we move on from the charger issue? I don't see much in the chat that we need to address on that. If you have off-topic questions, those are always welcome at the end. And for those of you just tuning in, this is the simulcast of Fast Charging with B&B. It appears at the same time, 4 p.m. Tuesdays Pacific, and it goes live on Bear's channel, and it goes live on My Tesla Weekend. We're trailblazers. We're merry leaders.
Nobody does this. Nobody.
Nobody. And certainly not because it's needlessly complicated. All right.
Yeah, it is.
It is, but we love it.
Yeah, this is how we learn.
Here are the vehicles.
Okay,
No, go.
Flip a coin. So, found this article on NBC, the electric vehicle startups vying for your attention this year. I was trying to read it, and there's a picture of a beautiful Rivian. You can see Brian is just staring at it. And they talk about there are so many new startups, and nobody has been able to start up a car company in 75 years, except for Tesla, the one exception. but they're talking about who's going to be the winners and who's going to be the losers. I don't necessarily agree. They've got Rivian and Lucid and Fisker as winners this year. That they're going to be winners in the EV market as far as newcomers. Rivian and Lucid, yeah, I'm cool with that. Fisker? What do you think of Fisker being on that list, Brian?
I think that's ludicrous. I think he's a fantastic salesman. It'd be great if he had a product to sell. He drove the company into bankruptcy once, and rather than rebrand, he just stuck his name right back on it because it's still me, baby. It's all about me. And yeah, he wins all kinds of design awards, but great, build a car. And
Yeah.
it's all smoke and mirrors as far as I can see. His price predictions are not legitimate.
No. Also on that list was for the winners would be Polestar and Neo, and check that out. They have corrected this. This article
Right.
had Neo spelled Neo, and it looks like it has refreshed the spelling.
There is
It
no
was just,
spoon.
Yeah. So yeah, it was Neo as in from the Matrix, and they have changed this. And I thought it was kind of funny that they couldn't even get Neo spelled right because they had Morpheus on the brain.
Autocorrect. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
I doubt
NBC
it,
News,
girl.
come on, guys. You're bigger than that.
Yeah. So Polestar, I could see them with what they've got in their lineup. I could see them doing okay. I don't think that they're going to do great. Neo is mostly in China, and they are designing their car after Tesla cars, which makes them good-looking cars. And they do the battery swap instead of having to charge your car.
Do the
You
new
can't
ones still
charge
do
it.
battery swap? I thought that was only on earlier ones. It's not a good system. It's not a good system because you're already battery constrained. Do you really want to have spare batteries sitting around instead of cars you can sell?
Well, they were. I think when they originally had this idea, there wasn't so much of a battery constraint. I don't like the idea of swapping out my propane tank because I'm going to get a crappy tank back. I wouldn't be all that excited about swapping out my battery, and you find out you got a dud and you're going 10 miles.
Well, I
So,
think what they were trying to do with that was say you no longer own the battery; it's not yours, so don't worry about it. If you get a bad one, just pull in, grab a different one. But I agree with you. On the cusp, who do we got?
we got some companies I never heard of. I've heard of Canoe.
I have heard of Canoe.
and It was brought up before in the chat or a little bit earlier.
Yeah, the
today.
comment earlier was that it was a very plain looking truck. The truck looks like the van, but if you just did a little bit of hacksaw action, I don't think it looks plain. I think it looks silly and futuristic, and I'm fine with that. I would not buy one, but you know what? If it was priced right and it had 6 or more seats, I would buy it because I drive a minivan. I'm not into aesthetics. I mean, I am, but function over form for me.
Yeah. Well, you do what you got to do, and I know you need a 6-seater.
Yeah.
Yes. So VinFast, a Vietnam company, they've already had some problems trying to come back. Don't know if they're going to make it because they're on the cusp. Atlas is just a company that I haven't heard of, and I
Yeah.
didn't even bother to look it up.
Right.
Faraday Future, uncertain future for the last 4.
So,
And-
so uncertain is a very charitable way of saying we know, we just would rather not tell you. Poor Faraday Future. They put so much money into it, and to me, that's just proof that you can't buy a successful design. You can't buy success. You have to earn it in addition to buying it.
Yes. So Faraday, when I mentioned that to Brian, he's like, they still exist? Yeah. Bollinger, Byton, I don't know anything about. Bollinger, I've seen their massive looking trucks, and they look cool, but they were also very, very high in price for a pickup truck. Well, probably the most expensive pickup truck that would be out there.
It reminded me of
with
an old school Hummer, the military spec. And it's got neat
Yeah, so-
features. It's got, a pass through so you could carry a 16-foot beam in the car, which is what I routinely do. That's something that's important to me when buying a vehicle.
What do you think the people at Bollinger did when GM announced the Hummer, the new Hummer? Do you think they just crapped their pants and said, "Oh my God, that's everything we were going to do"?
I think they
At the same
wept
price.
softly. They just wept softly. At the same price or lower?
It's probably around the same price.
I think
It
it's
might
around
even
the
be
same
low.
price.
Yeah.
But between
yeah,
the two, I would
they-
buy the GM.
Oh yeah, it's got a reputation.
Right. It's
Yeah,
got a warranty that's actually going to work in 2 years.
Right, and that's a big part of it, and that's why the people who get in on Lucid right now and Rivian, they are taking a risk because you don't know if something horrible would happen. You would not end up with anyone who's going to support the warranty.
Justin Bieber bought a Fisker, the original,
Yes.
the old school one, and the company promptly folded. And my thought is, do you just throw it away at that point? Because you can't. I don't know who you would take it to for service, but it would be prohibitively expensive. At that point, sell it to a collector because.
Yeah, I mean, even if like your windshield breaks, you are literally having glass.
Oh yeah, you throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Bollinger is the
And
125,000. Is 125,000. Hummer's 113. Oh no! Oh no! Oh dear! But
Well,
but Benjamin
the
points out
Bollinger-
they are two completely different products. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but they're similar in looks. I mean, and that's when you're buying something like that, you're buying it first for the looks because that's what's going to catch your eye. You're forgetting that Bollinger would, if they had something, qualify for $7,500 rebate, bringing it very close.
That's true. But
GM does not qualify
that's
for it
true.
anymore.
That's true. JKM brought in a bunch of questions. What about Arcimoto? What about Electrica Mechanica? What about Saturn One at the, and really all of those smaller vehicles. They're classed differently, so I assume I assume that's why they didn't make the list. Is because they're in a different class.
Yeah, they are. The Solo from Electromechanica is considered a motorcycle. So, and I believe the Electra or the Arcimoto would probably, at least in Arizona, would also be considered a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But and in Arizona, or because of that, you don't need airbags and all the other safety equipment, though you are supposed to be wearing goggles. The Solo is enclosed, so you wouldn't need to wear anything. The Arcimoto does that have a windshield?
It has a windshield, but no sides yet.
Okay. So I know here in Arizona you would have to wear nothing else.
In Oregon, I know they had to
Right.
do, on the Arcimoto, they had to do some goofy stuff with the seatbelts because they ended up in between classes in some states. Fun little ride. Fun little ride. Yeah.
Last on that list, and then we could finish with this,
Sure.
is Lordstown Motors.
Yeah.
And that's just too bad.
It is too bad.
About yeah.
Cool name,
Cute
cool truck.
Yeah.
But
Vaporware.
it's a shame. It's a shame. I was rooting for them. By the way, Jordan S. in your chat said, Hummer will also have $80,000 base model in 2023. Will it? It's when it comes to EVs, regardless of brand, I don't believe anything until it happens.
Yes. I believe that,
Okay.
what you just said.
So now we're getting
That was the
into
truth.
some other stuff.
Like the NYPD.
Yeah. Buying 184 Mustang Mach-E's with an option to buy 250 Tesla Model S's. What do you think about these, Barry?
Threes.
Oh, what did I say? S's. Oh, threes. Yes, of course, threes. S would be
Yes.
a little
Classy.
a little
That'd
Dubai
be
for
classy. Yeah, it would be, because I think they've used them
yeah.
for that. I think that's pretty good. I was surprised to see them get the Mustang Mach-E's before the Teslas. The Teslas have much longer track record So you could have an expiration date on these Mustang Mach-E's, and after a year, the engines explode, the motors explode. You never know. You don't have the type of history that the Model 3s have had, or with the motors and the batteries. So, but little surprising that the Mach-E's went first. But I think in the end, it's not going to matter. I think it'll be either one is going to work out well. But I still would have liked to have seen more Teslas in that first batch. And they need to still convert their entire taxi fleet, which is going to be an incredible.
Well, halfway down this article, it says it doesn't mean that the Tesla vehicles are on order, but they can buy up to 250 at any time in the next 5 years, which to me means order them now because there's a little bit of a backlog.
Yeah, you might get it within 5 years.
And I'm wondering if right now the big police vehicle is the Ford Explorer. If the Model Y becomes the next Ford Explorer for police to use, what position does that put Ford in? Losing a customer that big.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the Model Y could have replaced the Explorers. There's a lot more storage in an Explorer than a Model Y.
Sure.
I mean, it's possible, but I think they would have to lose some of their equipment. And, keeping in mind that a lot of these police vehicles are loaded up with equipment. And you have to keep it separate also from the felons or the soon-to-be convicts that you have in the back seat. So.
Yeah. We are a little low on time. I think we should just move on to Lucid Air proves it's a comfy canyon carver. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. It's just this was a video review up on YouTube of two guys. I'm not familiar with them.
Hey folks,
it's probably a big channel, the Smoking Tire YouTube channel, and they took a Lucid Air out with a couple other people and a pre-production model. But they took them for a spin somewhere in California, I believe, 3 or 4 of the cars, and they were driving in the rain the entire time in what looked like a little bit too fast on windy roads. So they did not die. So spoiler alert, but they did seem to have a good time. They had very few complaints about the car, and they loved the horsepower, and they loved the car, and they were not owners they were not the owners, and they were not employees. But I got the feeling that somehow this might have been sponsored by Lucid only because they're pre-production cars, and still waiting to see some good, honest reviews of this car. But this one was a good review.
Interesting.
Like it was.
Interesting. Based on.
So there will be a link in the description of both of our channels, linking you to this video if you want to take a look at it.
Ford has a secret weapon to battle Tesla, and it's Michigan.
Yeah.
Nothing against Michigan. Nothing against Michigan.
Yeah.
It doesn't strike me as a secret weapon. It does. I mean.
So this is like our clickbait article of the week. I mean, I literally thought I was going to see something in here was something, but they sat there and talked about the fact that people from Michigan like Detroit cars, and they brought up some stats showing that of the new EV registrations at a certain time period, 20% were Fords, and I don't know, call it the last year, and 43% were Teslas. And so that's the number one state as far as registrations go for EV vehicles. So they think that's a secret weapon. I'm not even sure, like many parts of Detroit, that people can afford to get a Mustang anymore. It's kind of out of there. But hey, you know what? If that's our secret weapon, I don't think Mr. Musk is losing any sleep over that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There was an interesting discussion on Reddit in the r/news about Ford being the biggest growth stock of 2021 because it had a good year. And if you take certain dates to certain dates, you can paint any picture you want. But a calendar year is a nice, easy one to justify. Don't go back another 2 or 3 years. Definitely don't, and please don't go back 20 years where you'll find you're down 40% from 1999. But it's not a growth stock, and people are saying, yeah, but people love Fords. Once, and then people who buy a Tesla, they immediately go, oh, never again, and they go back to Ford. How'd that work for you, Bear? I heard your wife got a Model 3 a couple years ago. You're never going to buy another one, right?
Another Model 3? Nah, not this month.
Not this month. Bear has since bought another Tesla and another. So the brand loyalty among Tesla is extreme. It puts other brands to shame, even brands that should not have any shame. We've got one more story I really want us to get to, and then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. Can we do it?
I think we can fly through this.
Because this one is exciting, if you believe everything you read. And today, I choose to. Do you want to do it?
Today is your lucky day, because you are a very handsome person.
Well, let's not get carried away.
All right. I'm pushing.
Oh, I believe you. Oh, that's right. It's today. I believe you.
God, I totally led you into that.
Man.
Yeah. So the F-150 Lightning production looks like it's getting ready to take orders, which I thought that they had already done, but this was, I guess they're doing it in some weird convoluted way. So people who have placed reservations are now able to place orders, which I would have definitely thought was the same thing. But they're going to be opening this up, and they've got this whole crazy system that is just going to probably annoy people. But on the bright side, they are going to hopefully be producing more Lightnings than the previous target of 80,000 units a year. And they're hoping to get up to 160,000 by the end of next year. Not saying how many are going to come out this year, but I think that they are going to be able to. Brian doesn't because of batteries and what other reasons?
It's really just the batteries. It's just the batteries. It's like, well, they've got 3 plants under construction, 2 jointly with SK Innovations. One was an SK Innovations on behalf. Anyway, they've got 3 factories coming, but SK Innovations has never made this many batteries before. They don't have. It is their core competency, but they're not even a top 8, top 10 player. And they're going to go from 0 to 60 in 2 years? I don't see it. And even if they could, where are you getting the raw materials? If it was that easy to just turn it on and production appears out of thin air, these batteries are going to be the size of a house, man. They don't have the batteries.
I think that if they thought I think that they've probably given their estimates to what they think they're going to be able to do. I think they've lowballed it. I think the only thing holding them back from going higher than 160 is the batteries. But I think that they believe that they're going to be able to squeeze in the 160,000. There's nothing else that's going to slow them down except for another chip shortage or something like that. But I think they're setting their stakes really low, because I have no doubt that they'll be able to sell every one of those trucks. So
I believe they will sell every truck they build. I just don't believe they're going to be able to build enough. Yeah. And they're in debt up to their eyeballs.
Oh yeah, well that's another issue. But because they're one of the legacy companies that are getting electrified, they will manage to stay around longer, and they've got a history of not taking. They probably don't want to be in that position, which GM and Chrysler and Ram and all these other American companies that in years will be begging the government for cash because they're too big to fail, because they didn't hear about this whole electrification thing.
So let's go through our comments. We are at 5 o'clock, so we should work to wrap this up. I'll look on my side
Okay.
here. Oh, I did get a comment. Oh, real quick, saying that the police won't use the Model Y. They'll use the Cybertruck, not just because it's bulletproof to small hand, rounds, which is better than another vehicle, any other vehicle, but because it would have the size and the specs.
Yes. I would agree with that. I think that would work out very well, and it would look like something at a RoboCop or something, which also would be intimidating.
Mixed blessing.
Leo Moreno says, Barra's still trying to figure out how to become a patron on you. Please explain how. Thank you for all your out. And
so we both have
JJ
Patreons. We both have Patreon
Yes.
accounts. Patreon.com. Link in the description. Certainly on Bear's channel, certainly on my channel. And you follow it, and then basically you just pick a level and sign up, and we get that. And when I say we, I mean individually, not together.
Yes. When you sign in, it may ask to link your Google account, which is your YouTube account, and just go ahead and do that. Makes signing up for it very easy. And from there, you're able to pick your level of Patreon that you want to be from there. And thank you for asking that, Leo. And real quick, we are trying to raise Patreons to help support the channel with the flyovers. So we are trying to get 10 Patreons a week. And if we get 10 in before next Monday, we're going to go fly Lucid again next Monday. And once we reach 80 Patreons, total Patreons, then we'll be flying every Monday at Lucid. So we're just trying to raise the support to cover our costs for going out there so much. So please take a look at the Patreon channel of my channel down below in the description, and of Brian's channel down below in his description, and help support both of us so that we can be here for you guys every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific.
That's right. And there was some comments pointing out that Michigan has very strict protective laws that make it difficult for Tesla and other direct sales models to even compete in the state. So looking at Michigan and saying, well, Tesla doesn't have a very good foothold when legally they can't is unfair.
And that was part of that article mentioning how Tesla has to fight to get in there. And I'm not sure that you can actually buy a Tesla in Michigan. I think you have to cross the border to another state in order to do that. And it really, you'd think we are in 2022 and you can't buy certain types of cars because of these ridiculous laws that are still in place. These are things that should have been wiped off the planet as soon as somebody said, wait a minute, who's this here to protect? It's not there to protect the consumer at all. And very frustrating. If I had a good mind, I could write a letter to someone.
All right. Well, I'm through my chats. I did get a bunch of thanks from folks, and thank you to Photo Gib. Thank you, Paul. Thank you to all my Patreons, of course. And Bear, let's wrap it up on your side. Anything you want to talk about, we can continue there before we call it a day.
Just going to mention again, I got another live stream going. Be the Lucid flyover. And
when is that again? Sorry.
That will be tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
At probably around 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. Mm-hmm. We can't pin down a time because a lot of times if we've filmed a lot, it takes a longer time to compile it together. And then next thing you know, we're running late. So we kind of give a range about an hour or so before that. I will post that on Twitter about when the video's coming out.
Yeah, very fun. And I do live streams on Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific because apparently I don't like people on the East Coast and really hate people in Europe because it's so late. But I don't know, something to think about in the future. All right.
Yeah, it is. It's too bad your heart is filled with hate, but
it's not filled. It's mostly trans fats.
I thought they banned that in Washington.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Not yet.
We don't ban anything trans in Washington. When are you updating your Patreon names? I'm working on it today. Thank you. Who is this? I am working on it today. There were a few changes. So yes, Michigan does have 12 Indian reservations.
That's what Tesla's doing in New Mexico. I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, That's a workaround. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the two coolest channels. Bear's Workshop, of course. My Tesla Weekend. See you guys, I guess, next Tuesday for the group session, for the group therapy, and individual sessions of therapy between now and then on our respective channels.
Yes, thank you, everyone. It was great seeing you here, and we will see you next week.